Hello, guys. So I'm going to be explaining the JQ attraction factor. That means how to become very attractive to women. And we're going to look at this in detail right now. So, first of all, this is in my ebook. You can access that ebook very simply through the link in my YouTube channel here. And what CMC is concentrated masculine containment. And I'm going to give you an example of somebody who 100% embodied that, like a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 was Marlon Brando. So he had concentrated masculine containment energy. And so even if a girl would shit test him, he would be like acting, cool as if he didn't hear it, or making fun of it or something like that. So he had concentrated masculine containment. Then there is RMA, which is resource movement ability, which of course is an RMAS, which is resource movement ability signaling, which is basically marketing it. And somebody who's a celebrity who is world famous and always is signaling it to the outside, and that they're rich, that they're famous, blah blah blah. They're basically signaling that all the time. So also Marlon Brando in that case was a 10 out of 10. Now, in terms of genetics, you could say he was tall, he was had masculine features. You could say, and he didn't have any disabilities and so forth. So you could say he was a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 for a lot of women. So, and then you have appearance. Appearance is kind of like, how does the person smell, their energetics, their kind of like astrological chakra system, and all of this kind of like their aura. Because if he could have 10 of all of them, but a really bad aura, for example, or a really bad smell, then everything else would be kind of like subdued. Let's just assume that he had like a 9 out of 10, in that regard with everything. So Marlon Brando was literally someone who probably could have had any woman at his time, and I think he did have a lot of women. So and you can do this for yourself. Like, how high is your CMC? How high is your RMA? How high is your genetics? And your overall appearance then, and that's your JQ factor. So I did this for myself, and I can tell you, like, before understanding this formula, I was like at a 1 out of 10 on CMC. I was a 6 out of 10 in RMA, and I'm a 5 out of 10 in genetics in terms of like being tall. The good thing is I have it depends a little bit also culturally, because for example, if I'm in Japan, I would probably be an 8 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10, but I'll be like an 8. Whereas in Europe, I'm a 5 out of 10. In USA, maybe even just a 4 out of 10. So that's for Europe, okay. And so it's obvious that if I were to go to Asia, I would immediately bump here this up to an 8 out of 10. And then my RMA would also be boosted. Probably in Asia, I would be more like a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of, nah, let's say also an 8 out of 10. And then if I act really CMC like, I could be an 8 out of 10. So I would be an 8 out of 10 in Asia without even trying much, you could say. Whereas in Europe, I'm, oh, hold on. In Europe, I'm basically a, I was before definitely on the, wait, why is this not working? So, so this is Asia. And then here, Europe, I would be a 1 out of 10 in CMC, a 6 out of 10 in RMA, and a 5 out of 10 in genetics. So that comes out to, I did the calculation, like a 4 out of 10 overall. And that's so, while when you're looking at a woman and you're like, oh, she's an 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, you'll be like, what the fuck, I want to have her. When but when you look at a 4 out of 10 overall as a woman, how a woman's market value is perceived, you would be like, nah, I don't really want to go to bed with her. So that's the reason why I'm not having success with women, basically. And then if I bump up my CMC, and even if I were to bump up my CMC a lot, like it wouldn't change my overall thing. So I would go maybe out of on I could go to a 4 out of 10, let's say, if I improve my CMC, and then I come out at like a 5.3 out of 10 overall, right? So if I were to increase the CMC, I could come out to a 5.3 overall, which is already, you should get laid sometimes, and if I get really good in this, I could get to like a 6.3 out of 10, but I cannot bump much higher than that on my overall scale in Europe, because of my genetics. But the CMC plays a crucial role, and then of course you don't want to fuck up on your appearance, which is smell, energetics, and stuff like that. So you can work on your energetics. The thing is, like, you can do yoga every day and work on your energetics, but if you don't work on your CMC and RMA, you're not going anywhere. This is just like, that's the appearance with smell and energetics is almost like a given that it's okay, right? So if you run these numbers for yourself, you will recognize, uh, why am I or not having sex, for example. So this would basically be the answer to you why or why not you're having sex as a man. So if you're not having any sex, you probably have a low JQ attraction factor. And yeah, so this is something that I realized because I was like, okay, so how come I'm still fucking it up? Like, what's going on? And then I started looking deeper and I started really figuring out what am I doing wrong. And the thing is, like, you cannot be just yourself. That's what I said. You cannot not, you cannot not play the game. I really have to stress this really hard, really, really hard. So I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna put this in red over here. Let's put this in red because, like, you cannot not play the game. That means the moment you're interested in someone, you are already playing the game. The question is only if you're playing it good or bad. And if you're not having success, that's because it's not because the woman is not the right woman. It's just because you're not playing the game correctly. Because most women react exactly the same woman, even the woman that you prefer the most, or that would be even a match with you. But if you act with a low CMC, let's say you clown around a lot, and she wouldn't give you even the first date. So that's why you have to play the game. With the perfect person for you, you don't have to play the game at 10 out of 10, naturally, but at least get a couple dates. And then in my ebook I clearly explain this. You're not going from authentic to relationship. You're going from the dating game where you're playing these games to getting to know each other slowly, to like the first date, the second date, and then you're starting to get to know that person slowly, and then you can decide whether there's compatibility or not. But you cannot be like, I'm just not going to play the game, because you're always playing the game. And so I wanted to show that formula again and add also the appearance part to it. And sometimes I have like YouTube viewers who be like, yeah, just be yourself. No, I've been doing that 30 years. That does not work. It does not work. You can be as open, heart based, good guy, like optimistic and so. What you can get is maybe a 1 out of 10 woman. Yeah, but the question is, do you want her? Do you find her fuckable? Do you want to fuck her? Do you find her attractive? Do you have a connection? Probably not. So you have to play the game. And the hotter she is, the more interesting she is overall, the more men are going to be interested. And the less CMC you have, the less she's going to put you just in the category of any other dude that wants something from her, even if your interest is authentic. That's the thing. Like, a lot of men think that if their interest is authentic, that she'll automatically respond to that authenticity. No, she's just putting you into the exact same category as hundreds of other men thinking you want sex from her. So you have to realize these things. You always want to play the game.